The rain that night did not fall gently. It came down the way suffering comes, all at once, without warning, without mercy. Adaeze held her small bag against her chest and walked faster, her wrapper already soaking at the hem, her slippers cutting through shallow rivers that used to be roads. She was 23 years old, slim and quiet, with a gentle face that made people assume her life was soft. It was not. Behind that face lived a girl who had buried both parents before she could properly remember their voices. A girl raised by her grandmother, Mama Chidinma, in a 2-room house with a roof that apologized every time it rained. That evening, Adaeze had stepped out to buy medicine for Mama Chidinma, whose cough had been sitting too deep for too long. She had meant to return quickly, but the rain had other plans. She was almost home when she heard the footsteps. Not one set, more than one. Her chest tightened. She did not turn around. She only walked faster, telling herself it was just the night playing tricks. Then a hand grabbed her arm from behind. "Let me go!" she gasped, spinning around. 2 men stood close, their faces half hidden by rain and darkness. "Stop making noise," one of them said. "Please, I am begging you," Adaeze said, her voice shaking. "I have nothing. Please let me go." The other man reached toward her face with a cloth. The smell hit her first, sharp and chemical, the kind that does not negotiate. She turned her head and fought with everything inside her, biting, scratching, kicking. Her elbow found a rib. The man yelped. She broke free and ran. She ran like her life was chasing her from behind. The rain slapped her face, her feet slipped on wet ground, her head was already beginning to feel strange, the edges of everything going soft. But she kept moving. She could not fall. She knew that if she fell, she would not get up again. Ahead of her, a security light cut through the rain. A tall gate, a private compound, the kind that belonged to people who did not want to be found. Adaeze stumbled to the gate and hit it with her palm. No answer. She hit it again, weaker this time. Her knees were shaking. Then she noticed it. The gate was not fully closed. She pushed. It opened. She ran inside. The compound was quiet. The building ahead smelled of polished wood and expensive soap. She pushed the door open and fell inside, pressing her back against it. Her heart was pounding. Her vision was blurring. And then she saw him. A man stood deeper in the room. Tall, broad-shouldered. His clothes were the kind that whispered money without trying. But he was not standing properly. His balance was unsteady. His eyes were dark and unfocused, like someone fighting a war inside his own body. This was Obiachina Adaora, Obi, as those closest to him called him, the only son of the Adaora family, the owner of the Adaora Grand Hotel, the most respected luxury hotel in the region. A man used to control, to authority, to being the one who decided things. That night, he had come to the private lodge for a short rest before returning to a business meeting. He had accepted a drink from an attendant he trusted. He should not have trusted anyone that night. The drug did not knock him flat. It dismantled him slowly. It took his clarity. It took his judgment. It left something raw and desperate in its place. "I am not here to steal," Adaeze whispered, backing away. "Please, I just need help." Obi moved toward her. Adaeze turned to find another door, but her legs were betraying her now. The drug she had inhaled was pulling her downward like invisible hands around her ankles. She tried to push him away when he reached her. She tried to scream, but her voice was swallowed, and her strength was dissolving, and the room was tilting, and the last thing she was aware of was his warmth, and the rain beating outside like a warning the world had already stopped listening to. When Adaeze opened her eyes, the room was quiet and pale with early morning light. She sat up slowly, and pain moved through her body, the way truth moves through a person who has been trying not to know something. She looked around. Clean room, expensive. Her clothes were still on but rumpled. Her hair was rough, and in her body was the knowledge of what had been taken, something she had guarded for years, something she had planned to give only to a man she chose, a man she trusted. She covered her mouth with her hand. Her shoulders shook. She cried the way people cry when they have been broken in a place no one can see. After a long time, she wiped her face and stood. Her legs were unsteady. She reached for her bag. Something on the table caught her eye. A pendant. Dark green stone, heavy-looking, clearly not ordinary. She stared at it for a moment. Then she left it there. She had not come to take anything from anyone. She only wanted to survive. She ran out into the morning air without looking back. Later, Obi woke with a splitting headache and a sick feeling in his stomach. He sat up sharply. His hand went to his chest. The chain was gone. His family jade pendant, the Adora stone, worn by every firstborn of his bloodline for 3 generations, was missing. He called his assistant immediately. "Namdi," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Find her. Find the woman from last night. And bring her to me. Now here is the question that will stay with you." Adaeze never touched that pendant. She left it on the table. So how did it end up in someone else's hands? And who was watching that lodge long before Adaeze stumbled through its gate? Welcome to African Folklore by Chidi. If you are new here, this is where real stories live. Subscribe now and tap the bell so you never miss one. Where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments. We love to know. Adaeze did not stop running until her lungs burned. By the time she found her way back to the village, the sky was already thinning from black to grey. The rain had reduced to a whisper, but the damage was done. 2 women stood under a neighbour's zinc roof and watched her arrive with eyes that already had a verdict. "So you have returned," one of them said. Adaeze kept walking. "A young girl spends the whole night outside and walks back like a saint," the other one announced to no one and everyone. Adaeze did not answer. She pushed open the door of their small house. The roof was leaking again. Water dripped into bowls placed around the room. Mama Chidinma sat on a low stool wrapped in an old shawl, her eyes alert the moment she saw Adaeze. "Adaeze, where have you been? I have been calling your name since midnight." Adaeze dropped to her knees beside her immediately. "I am here, Mama. I am here." Mama Chidinma searched her face the way grandmothers do, reading skin like a language. "You are shaking. It is the rain," Adaeze says. "The rain caught me." She lied because the truth would have broken the old woman. Mama Chidinma looked up at the ceiling as another drop landed loudly in a bowl. "This roof," she murmured. "This roof wants to finish us." Adaeze stood up and began shifting the buckets, moving with purpose because action was the only thing that could silence the pain sitting in her chest. "I will fix it, Mama," she said. "It will not be like this forever." Before Mama Chidinma could respond, a sharp knock came at the door. It was Chisholm. Adaeze knew the knock before she even turned around. Chisom Ezinwa had been her childhood friend, the kind who used to share roasted corn with her under the mango tree. But somewhere between then and now, Chisom had decided that life owed her a throne, and she had been walking like a queen ever since, even though nobody had crowned her. Chisom stepped into the house and looked around the way people look at poverty when they want to feel better about themselves. "Ah," she said, "so it is still like this." "Good morning," Adaeze replied, her voice flat. Chisom sat down without being invited and folded her hands like she had come to deliver wisdom. "Adaeze, listen to me. There is a man by the junction, the one who sells motor spare parts. He has been asking about you. He said if you agree, he will bring bride price and repair this house. You will stop suffering. Adaeze continued arranging the buckets without looking up. Are you hearing me? Chisholm asked. I heard you, Adaeze said. I have nothing to say. Chisholm leaned forward. You are always forming a strong girl. Strong girl does not stop hunger. Strong girl does not patch a roof. Your mates are marrying and building. You are here carrying bucket up and down. Adaeze turned slowly and faced her. My plan is to work, to repair this house, to take care of my grandmother. That is all. Chisholm laughed. Work where? With what connection? With what education? I will find something, Adaeze said. Chisholm hissed and stood up. Stubborn girl, when hunger is crying in your stomach, you will remember my words. She pointed at the wet floor and walked out. Mama Chidinma waited until the sound of Chisholm's footsteps faded. Then she said softly, Life is hard, my daughter. But do not let it push you into a prison. Adaeze swallowed. It won't, Mama. That same morning, Adaeze packed what little she owned. She was going to the city. She was going to find Ngozi Akuna, a woman who had sent word through the village that she could help Adaeze get work inside a luxury hotel. In Adaeze's situation, help was not something you argued with. It was something you grabbed before it disappeared. She kissed Mama Chidinma's hand before she left. I will send money as soon as I find work. I will start fixing this place. Mama Chidinma touched her face gently. Just do not let anybody use your desperation against you. Adaeze nodded. Then she picked up her bag and stepped out into the morning without looking back too many times, because she knew that if she looked back too long, she would not find the courage to go. While Adaeze was leaving a leaking roof behind, Obiechina Adara was standing inside glass and marble, surrounded by wealth that had stopped bringing him peace. His office sat high above the city. His assistant Namdi stood across from him, waiting. Find her, Obi said. He turned from the window, his hand moving to his chest again out of habit. Nothing. The pendant was still missing, and the absence of it irritated him like an open wound. The Adara stone has carried my family name longer than I have been alive. That woman is tied to something I cannot ignore. Yes, sir, Namdi replied. And when you find her, Obi added, his voice dropping, do not frighten her. Handle it with care. By the time Adaeze arrived at the city, the roads were loud and the crowd was thick and everyone moved like they had somewhere important to be. She was still finding her feet when the rain returned. Real rain, not the polite kind. People ran under canopies, cars splashed past without pity. Adaeze spotted a car parked nearby, clean and shiny, and her tired mind told her it was a cab waiting for a passenger. She opened the back door and climbed in. Then she froze. A man was already seated inside, well-dressed, calm, the kind of man whose silence still carried weight. It was Obiechina Adara. Obi's first reaction was shock. Not because strangers occasionally tried foolish things, but because this girl had entered his car like she belonged there, soaked, nervous, and still carrying a quiet courage that confused him. Then something else hit him. A scent, faint, but familiar enough to tighten his chest. Are you going to the Adara Grand Hotel? Adaeze asked softly, unaware of who she was sitting beside. Obi turned to his driver. Drive. The car moved. Adaeze sat stiffly, keeping her bag on her lap like a shield. The man beside her did not speak, did not complain, but his presence felt heavy in a way she could not explain. And somewhere underneath that feeling was a smaller, quieter one that she could not name. Why does he feel familiar? Not his face. Something else. Like the air around him carried a memory she could not fully touch. The car stopped at the hotel entrance. Adaeze stepped out quickly and murmured a thank you. Obi watched her disappear through the entrance with dark, unreadable eyes. Inside, Ngozi found her immediately. Ngozi Akuna looked polished, clean shoes, neat hair, confident face. But her smile was the kind that measured you while pretending to welcome you. "Adaeze," she said. "So you made it." "I just need work," Adaeze replied. "I am ready." Ngozi leaned close and lowered her voice. "You can earn 5,000 a month here if you are sharp. Come, let me take you to the man in charge." The man in charge was Mr. Emeka Ozobu. He sat behind his desk like other people's lives bored him. His eyes moved over Adaeze the moment she entered, and they did not move the way decent eyes should. He stood and extended his hand in greeting, but his fingers brushed her arm slowly, deliberately. Adaeze stepped back immediately. "Please do not touch me like that." Ozobu's face hardened. "Do you still want this job?" Ngozi jumped in quickly, her voice sweet and smooth. "Sir, she just came from the village. She is ignorant. You will have to train her well." Adaeze heard those words clearly, and her skin went cold. Because those words did not sound like work. They sounded like the beginning of a trap. That evening at the staff welcome dinner, a drink was pushed toward Adaeze. "Toast," someone said. "Thank the manager for approving you." Adaeze shook her head. "I cannot drink. I am fine." Ngozi frowned. "Adaeze, do not be stubborn, just small." "I really cannot," Adaeze insisted quietly. Later, when she was separated from the crowd through small errands and quiet directions, her head began to feel strange. The corridor light looked too bright. The floor shifted slightly under her feet. She pushed open the nearest door just to breathe, just to hide, just to escape. She stumbled inside. Obiechina Adara was standing in the room. If you are still watching up to now, type "I am still here" in the comments section and tell us your view. This story is only getting heavier from here. Adaeze's drugged mind did not register logic. All it registered was fear. She took one step back, shaking. "Do not come near me," she whispered. Obi turned sharply, surprised. He moved one step forward, hands half raised, trying to calm her. "Stop, you are not okay." Adaeze lunged at him. She slapped his chest, scratched his arm, pushed at him with everything panic could produce. Obi caught her wrists gently, trying to stop her from hurting herself. She bit him. Hard. Obi stepped back, stunned. He looked at her, her trembling body, her unfocused eyes, her broken breathing. And his face changed, not to rage, to realization. "She has been drugged," he said quietly. He caught her before she fell and lowered her onto the couch carefully. Then he called the hotel doctor. When he looked back at her face, tightened even in unconsciousness, still carrying the shape of fear, something moved in his chest that he did not have a name for yet. And that scent rose from her skin again. The same one from the car. The same one from a night he still could not fully remember. Adaeze woke slowly, climbing out of darkness the way someone climbs out of deep water. Her head was heavy, her mouth was dry. The memory of the night before came in broken pieces. The corridor, the fear, the door she had pushed open, the man's face. She sat up and dizziness hit her like a wave. Before she could reach the door, it opened. Two men entered, dressed neatly, speaking with careful respect. "Good morning, young madam. We are here on the CEO's orders. We came to take you home." Adaeze stepped back immediately. "I am a staff member. I did not do anything. I just needed help. Calm down." Obiechina Adaora stepped into the room. He looked fresh and controlled, like the night before had already been filed and closed. Only the faint mark on his arm told a different story. "I am sorry, sir," Adaeze blurted. "I did not know it was your room. I panicked. I did not mean to." "I know what you thought. Obi said calmly. Someone drugged you last night. You stumbled into my suite by accident. You fought to protect yourself. He paused. You are not being fired. Adaze's shoulders dropped with relief so heavy it nearly brought tears. Thank you, sir. I am investigating, Obi continued. Mr. Ozobu, I believe he has been running something very wrong inside this hotel. I will need your statement when you are stable. You do not need to fear him anymore. He was as good as his word. Within days, the hotel felt different. Ozobu began to feel the walls closing in, and so his hatred for Adaeze sharpened into something deliberate. He overworked her without explanation, spoke to her like she was less than nothing, and one evening called her in front of other staff. Since you want to form a righteous girl, he said loudly, you will clean every toilet on every floor tonight. Alone. Adaze's jaw tightened. Sir, that is too much for one person. If you cannot do it, you will be fired tomorrow. So she did it. She worked until her fingers cramped and her eyes blurred and her back felt like it had been broken and reset incorrectly. At some point in the early hours, her body simply stopped. She sank to the bathroom floor for 1 minute, and sleep swallowed her whole. Obi found out through staff whispers and a cleaning schedule that did not add up. He walked into the corridor and found Adaeze waking slowly on the floor, her face pale, her uniform dirty. How did one person end up doing the work of an entire team? He asked Ozobu directly, his voice so quiet it was more frightening than shouting. Ozobu stammered. Some staff were on leave, sir. I did not want guest experience to suffer. So you thought exhausting one employee until she slept inside a toilet was the solution? Obi looked at him for a long moment. From today, Adaeze moves to the very important person unit. Proper schedule, proper support. It was also Obi's mother, Lolo Obiageli Adaora, who sealed something that changed everything. She had come to the hotel quietly, following her own instincts about the kind of woman her son needed beside him. She witnessed Adaeze challenge the housekeeping manager who wanted to reuse dirty guest sheets, and watched her treat Lolo Obiageli with the same quiet dignity she had shown her the very first day they met in the hotel lobby. Promote her, Lolo Obiageli told her son simply. You can teach skill, you cannot buy character. Adaeze became deputy housekeeping manager, and with that, Chisom's patience snapped. Chisom Ezinwa had arrived at the hotel weeks earlier carrying a stolen jade pendant and a carefully constructed lie. When Namdi had come to the village searching for the woman from that night, Adaeze had already left for the city. Chisom had seen her opportunity and taken it without hesitation. She had lifted the pendant from the lodge before anyone could find it, walked up to Obiachina Adaora with confidence and tears already arranged in her eyes, and told him she was the woman he was responsible for. Obi's memory was too broken to fully contradict her, and confidence, she had learned, was convincing when people did not have the full truth. Now she went to Ozobu. Your village cleaner is rising too fast, she said, dropping into the chair across from him. She is a problem. Teach her a lesson. What followed was deliberate and cruel. Adaeze was sent to move supplies to the cold storage area by a junior staff member who locked her inside and walked away. The cold rushed into her bones. She banged on the door until her fists went numb. She paced in small circles to keep her blood moving, whispering Mama Shidinma's name into the freezing air, terrified and alone. When the door finally opened, it was Obi who stood there. He took one look at her pale lips and stiff fingers and pulled his jacket off without thinking, throwing it around her shoulders. Then he turned to the managers behind him, his voice cold and final. Somebody nearly died here today. From today, no staff moves supplies alone. Cold storage access is logged. Keys are controlled. Anyone who breaks this leaves this hotel. By the time Adaze's body began to tell her what she had been refusing to know, she was already deep inside a storm she could not see the edges of. The morning sickness came quietly at first. The tiredness that sat in her bones like old debt, the taste in her mouth that refused to leave. She visited a doctor alone, telling herself it was just stress, just the cold storage incident, just the long shifts. The doctor looked at her test result and then looked at her. "Adaeze," he said gently, "you are pregnant." The word entered her slowly, like cold water finding every crack. She stared at the paper and said nothing for a long time. Then she thought of her own childhood, the things people had said about children without fathers, the way some villagers had spoken about her like she was a thing that had dropped from the sky. She thought of Mama Chidinma, who had loved her anyway, who had held her when she cried, who had never once made her feel like a burden. "I will keep it," Adaeze said. The doctor paused. "Are you sure?" "Yes," she said. "I know what it means to be unwanted. I will not do that to another life." Chisholm found out, and Chisholm panicked. Because if Adaeze carried that pregnancy to full term, the lies Chisholm had built her entire position on would collapse. She went to Ozobu that night, her voice low and sharp. She must not give birth to that child. 2 days later, Adaze's vehicle was forced off the road in a staged crash. She was taken to hospital unconscious, her head bleeding, her body bruised. Obi arrived at the hospital like a storm. He stood beside her bed when she woke, his face controlled but his eyes tight with something he had not yet admitted to himself. He sat close and asked her quietly about a birthmark he remembered from a night his mind still could not fully reconstruct. Adaeze confirmed it without understanding why he was asking. Then he asked about the pendant. "I never saw it," Adaeze said. "I woke up confused and I left. I took nothing from you." The silence that followed was the sound of everything clicking into place. Chisholm arrived at the hospital in full performance, screaming his name, claiming her pregnancy, threatening to abort unless he married her immediately. Obi looked at her calmly. "Then let us confirm the pregnancy here, today, right now." Chisholm's face changed. "Where did you get my pendant?" Obi asked. The hallway went still. Nurses slowed. People watched from a distance. And Chisholm, realizing there was no exit left, broke open like a dam that had been holding back too much for too long. "Yes," she snapped. "I took it. I saw my chance and I took it. What has friendship ever given me? What has loyalty ever put on my table? I wanted wealth. I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to be Mrs. Adara." Security held her as she lunged toward Adaze's ward. She was still screaming when they dragged her away. Ozobu was arrested separately, buried under the weight of evidence Obi had spent weeks quietly building. Harassment records, financial trails, the staged crash, the drugging reports, everything. When Lolo Obiajali came to the hospital and held Adaze's hand, she said simply, "My daughter, you have suffered enough. This child is Adara bloodline. God did not shame us." Weeks later, when Adaeze was stronger, Obi brought her to a quiet garden filled with soft green grass and calm evening light. She walked slowly, still careful with her body. He stood waiting, dressed simply, his face more serious than she had ever seen it. "Adaeze," he said, "I am sorry for the suffering, for the danger, for not recognizing the truth fast enough." He stepped closer. "But I am here now, and I will spend the rest of my life making sure you and our child are protected." Then he knelt. Adaeze covered her mouth. And then she turned, because she had felt movement behind her, and her heart stopped completely. Mama Chidinma was standing there, healthy, wrapped in a clean new shawl. supported gently on either side. Obi had moved her to a proper house in the city weeks earlier, with help, with drivers, with everything she needed. Adaeze ran to her and held her tightly, crying the way people cry when something they stopped, daring to hope for, finally arrives. Mama Chidinma stroked her hair. "My daughter," she whispered. "God has remembered you." Adaeze turned back to Obiachina, and through tears and a shaking smile she said yes. She returned to the Adaora Grand Hotel not as a cleaner, not as the village girl people had mocked, but as the woman beside the man who owned it. Ngozi found her privately and apologized with genuine shame in her eyes. Adaeze listened and forgave her without drama, because she was tired of carrying other people's wrongs. In the end, Adaeze did not win because she became wealthy. She won because through every attack, every humiliation, every night she cried alone, she refused to become something lesser. She kept her dignity when the world tried to take it. She kept her child when the world told her not to. And she kept her heart soft in a city that had tried everything to harden it. That is what saved her. Not luck, not rescue. Herself. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Like this video, leave a comment below, and if you have not subscribed to African Folklore by Chidi yet, do it now. Hit the bell so you never miss a story. We will be here every time with another tale that reminds you that the most powerful thing a person can carry is their character,